You're listening to a DM podcast.
Welcome to Over the Back Fence. I'm Di Edwards.
I'm Nicola Dale, and we're buddies of nearly 4 decades. And yes, we actually do happen to share a back fence.
We do. We love parties, people, inspirational stories, and honestly, making the most out of life.
So join us as we open our hearts, share our stories, and hear from some of the most inspirational people in the world. And have a laugh along the way.
Yeah.
Enjoy. Hey, so Tidy, good to see you again.
You too. Yippee-yi-yo.
Well, you know what? Who have we got at the back fence today? I'm
love it.
absolutely delighted
Totally.
to have Katherine Wolfgramme join us at the back fence.
Woohoo,
And
welcome.
Catherine. You know what, Di? I
Thank
just
you.
love how the universe works its magic.
Yeah.
And that we're actually seated next to one another at a Camilla boat cruise a little while ago, clicked and connected.
Yeah.
And, you know, you were just telling me like little bits about yourself. And I just
And she was
knew-
wearing a beautiful Camilla.
Oh, absolutely. We all
Yeah,
love
gorgeous.
the Camillas. And I just knew that I just wanted your story shared with so many of our listeners and so many more. But let me just tell a little bit about Katherine. Katherine is a well-respected and prominent transgender woman. She's a multi-award-winning, internationally recognised transgender advocate and gender diversity educator and consultant. Board Director at Qtopia Sydney Pride Museum, Ambassador of Bobby Goldsmith Foundation and Sydney World Pride Rainbow Champion, which I want to hear more about that, Public Officer of Wear It Purple, which is my favourite colour and such a great cause, and a really loved member of Sydney's gay community. Katherine transitioned over 30 years ago in Melbourne, and through her lifetime has been a trans child, a trans youth, a trans adult, and now a trans elder at the ripe old age of 51, which we still think that you're really young, but I tell you what, that's
Ripe
years
young
of-
age.
Yeah, ripe young age, and I tell you what, that's
It's my
decades of life
philosophy.
experience. And you've got the goal to broaden awareness through your training programs and a vision to help create understanding to reduce transphobia towards all transgender people in Australia, turning fear into understanding
love that the
and
most.
kindness above everything. And I don't think it gets much better than that.
No.
So it just gives us great pleasure.
Yeah, welcome,
to-
Katherine.
Thank you for having me, Nicola. If I predecease you, you must read that at my eulogy because you're just gorgeous.
What a lovely thing to say. Hold that tape, Sam. Hold that tape. No, you sounded amazing.
You're a spring chicken. And honestly, I edited so much. I could have gone on and
No,
on
you
and
could
on,
have.
really.
There's so many
You know,
pages.
so much more too,
But look, diving in deep, quite honestly, I have to be truthful with you, Katherine. I remember, I think it was late 70s or 80s. It's going back a fair way. Dad took us up to, on 105 Girls, to Lay Girls in King's Cross. And Carlotta was the drag queen then. And I remember that colour, the fun, the excitement and the singing and all the way home I was talking about it. And I remember just going, what was that all about? And then it went out of my mind, right? And then I fell in love with Courtney, who a lot of you would know, she won Big Brother in the UK. But I said to Nicola before we interviewed you, I don't know enough about transgender. I don't understand it. But I read a lot before you walked in the studio today. And I said to Nicola driving in, I'm so happy that I've educated myself now. And I have, I'm very emotional doing this interview today because I'm going to shut up. You're the one we want to talk. But I just need to share how ignorant I was, how uneducated I was, and unsympathetic and on every level about being a transgender human in this world today. So you've got our total support. Can you just start with, firstly, what is a transgender person? What is that?
So
For a listener that does no idea.
Some of our listeners
So
are older
it's-
too,
Yes,
and
exactly.
well, it is confusing, I
Yes.
suppose. But I do have to say, while we're on the subject of
Yes.
Lay Girls, is I was fortunate enough to be in the last generation.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah, I was last
Wow.
generation Lay Girls, so that's late
That's huge.
1990s. Well, we didn't have rights in those days, and there were not a lot of employment options for trans women. And I'm not a born showgirl. In fact, I can't dance. But I had this really
you look
pretty...
fabulous.
Yes, I had a really pretty face.
Yes, you've got a very pretty face. You do.
They snapped me up straight away. So that was, it's wonderful to be a part of that legacy. Carlotta and Courtney, they're both friends of mine. I'm very proud to know them. One paved the way, Carlotta, for all of us, and the other one is continuing to pave the way,
Absolutely.
Courtney Act, and, she's doing amazing things. Yeah, so transgender, I suppose we need to look at transgender as an adjective. It's sort of like, transitioning, so you're transitioning from one gender to another. Trans is the umbrella that we all sit under.
Yes.
Trans population.
Meaning change.
Meaning gender diverse.
Yeah.
So I transitioned, I was born male, I transitioned to live as female.
Right. Now that's important to state that.
So just when you were born, was that with gender dysmorphia?
Dysphoria.
Dysphoria.
Yes, dysphoria.
So what
Yes.
So
dysphoria?
tell us
dysphoria
There's
is
so
an
many
interesting...
terminologies. It's fascinating.
Yeah, well, gender dysphoria is an interesting word, and it's hard to explain. So the best way for me to explain what it is to break down the words. So gender identity, how you were born is your gender identity. Yes, you were born female, you know that you're female, and that's your gender identity. Yeah. Dysphoria is a funny word. The best way to explain dysphoria is to explain the exact opposite.
Right.
Which is euphoria.
Oh,
that's brilliant.
Excellent
I
way
like
of
that.
explaining it.
Euphoria is the heights of ecstasy, the greatest joy towards. Mm-hmm. So dysphoria is the exact opposite. So that's the feeling of hate, dread, darkness. And that's what I had, was gender dysphoria. And
just to clarify again,
biologically male.
Yes.
But I felt like I believe it's a neurological pathway issue where my brain believes it's a woman. There is just no, and it's just, that's what my brain believes. Yeah. And it's really quite impossible to brainwash your brain.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
The only way that you can live with yourself and your brain is to transition.
Got it.
And then you no longer have gender dysphoria. I don't have gender dysphoria anymore.
Right. And gender dysphoria, as Nicola was saying, because it's more of classified as more of a mental illness. I mean,
well, it used to be.
You bottle it up inside, don't you?
Yeah.
Like
a
lot of people do.
It used to be classified as a mental illness, but because it's curable through transition, and there's no mental illness after that, it's been struck off the mental health list.
Hallelujah for that. Hallelujah.
By the World Health Organization.
But a lot of people do, I'm sure, are quite depressed, not sharing it. That's why people like you step into their world to try and break down the barriers.
Well, I mean, I don't think we entered the world to be medical manuals for other people. So it's important for people like me to come forward and explain things.
Yes.
So other people don't have to.
So tell us your story. You're born in Fiji, Katherine.
Yes.
And so what was it like growing up for you in the early years?
Well, I was born in 1972. Mm-hmm. I arrived in Australia in 1974.
Okay, right.
So, I had no choice in the matter.
Okay, there you go.
Dragged here. But I did have
I love
propellers
that.
on the plane. There were propellers back there. Australia is all I've really known. It's my home. But growing up in Australia was not easy either because we had just come out of white Australia. So I literally thought I was the only black child in all the world.
Wow.
Yes.
And I was raised by my great-grandparents, which was also a generation.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's why I speak so well.
Yeah, you do.
My great-grandmother taught me to speak, and she's, and I was raised in a very old-fashioned way. So
The Queen's English there.
Yeah, it is a bit. Seriously. She looks like the Queen today.
And so what was
so
this?
So
Tell
that
us
was
about
very
that.
hard, and because I had to first, before I looked at transsexuality, I had to really consider racism. I remember going home and asking my grandmother why the man called me a packet of chips. And she goes, what do you mean? He called me a Sam boy. And
Oh, gosh.
so that was, well, you know, when you're a child, there's certain words that, you know they're naughty just by the reactions of your elders.
Yeah.
And the other one was whore. Best little whorehouse in Texas.
Yes. Oh,
I said,
wow.
Nana, what's a whore? She
Wow.
goes, it's a very bad woman, and
Nana.
I'm not allowed to say it again.
Nana was like, no more.
And
no
could you
more.
tell at that young age then, did you sort of go, I wanted to, you naturally, did you call yourself a
Feeling-
girl?
feeling
what
different.
did you, how
The
did you
truth
go
was I
through?
didn't know I wasn't a girl.
Okay. Yes.
So it was actually a realization finding out that I wasn't a girl. And I found out at
What
Sabbath,
age?
probably 5, 4 or
Wow,
5.
interesting.
It was at Sabbath school at church. And we're playing missionaries. And because, you know, they talk of brainwashing, you have to.
Yes.
So you go overseas and you have to be a doctor or a nurse or a pastor. And I said, I'm the nurse. And they said, no, you can't be the nurse. You're a boy. I said, no, I'm not.
Wow.
They said, yes, you are.
Because you felt it.
Yes.
This is what's so fascinating.
Yeah, and I got into a lot of trouble. But because my brain literally believed it was a girl. So I like everyone was wrong and I was right. But I knew if I said anything, I'd be punished.
Wow.
Yes.
But because of my extremely strong Christian beliefs, that's actually what sustained me, because I actually believed that God made me this way.
Wow,
and
that's
that,
healthy.
You know, and so
Yeah.
well, he must have.
Wow, because that's how I
because
feel.
Well, darling, if
Body
he's
born on
perfect and he
planet
knows
Earth.
everything.
Exactly.
Everybody's worthwhile, you know. if you-
Incredible.
You know,
So how did that progress? Like knowing that you
Well,
are
I
a
think
girl.
It was. I mean, it was easy to. You know, I at the time, you know, I had female cousins. I didn't have any male cousins, and I didn't. All the people in my life were women, so it was easy for me to just sort of. But
fit into that environment.
yeah,
that
but
world.
you know, they've also scientifically found that binary transgender people that transition from one gender to another, their brains are different scientifically too. They scanned brains and they found that our brains are different. You know, the viscosity and the shape is very gently shaped towards the gender that
they feel they are.
Yeah,
Yes.
so,
Wow. That's
so,
incredible.
Well, it affects the way you move. You know, like, so I could never move like a man, and you know, it just doesn't, my body just does not work
graceful.
that way. And that's how, you know, you'll see that with trans people and effeminate people, and you know, the movements are just naturally
Totally
different.
different, yes.
And it's
Yeah,
not something
absolutely.
that's learnt, it's something that the brain is in charge of. So I was teased at school for not because I was trans, but they used to call me a faggot and gay, and you know, they used
Wow.
to. Oh, can I say that on the?
Yes,
say
you're on a
it.
podcast, sweetie,
You can
darling.
say everything.
What rating do we
Podcast.
have?
You're allowed. Your rating is go
Exactly,
for it.
it's go for it.
That's the rating.
So, you know, I was called a whole lot of very homophobic things, and for things that were beyond my control. You know, and that was hard, and home became the only safe environment for me.
And you're
then, of
going to
course-
Nana and saying they called me gay or whatever today. Nana's going, oh my God, is there any more things she's going to come home with?
No,
Incredible.
she just told me to, you know, like I had
to
to
ignore it?
things,
Right.
and
She
so-
sounded like a good bit of a sounding board for you. Like you'd come home and express.
Well, she
what
was my
going on.
mother in effect.
Yes.
You know, and when
Yeah, lucky.
When Nana and Grandpa died, Grandpa predeceased Nana by a decade. So, but when Nana died, I really did feel like an orphan. I felt
I
orphaned.
get that.
I was sort
Yeah.
of like,
How old were you?
28.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God, I'm an orphan.
Yeah.
And
That would be difficult.
Yeah, I get that.
So how did it go, Catherine, with the start of the transition? When was it that sort of
we haven't hit
development?
puberty yet.
Oh,
Nicole.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
wow. Okay.
We have
So
to,
where
before
are
we
we?
tell you
Right.
the good stuff,
Yeah,
I
no,
would
no.
still
So
what
have
a-
to
what
go
age
through
are
all
we
the
at?
bad
Okay,
stuff.
no.
What age are we at now? Let's go back to
We want to hear it all.
the juicy stuff.
The juicy
So,
stuff. No.
so we're
So 11, 12.
Okay.
Your body's doing exactly the completely opposite to what you want it to do.
Right.
So there's hair growing where you don't want hair, and things are popping out that
God
you
for
don't want to
wax.
pop out.
Yes.
And you literally want to die because
Wow.
it's beyond
It's
your
in
control.
denial of how you feel. You're in denial. Like,
It's
why
like,
am I
this is
such
not
a
meant to be
conundrum.
happening to me.
Yes.
And that happens to trans youth all across the country. And that's
People
why
need to know this.
well, that's why parents of trans kids have been fighting in courts for their kids, because they now understand that, for their children to be happiest and to live their fullest lives, that they need to transition.
Take you back. You're 11 now, and you're feeling.
Oh, we're going back to that horrible puberty time.
Yes.
Yeah, it was awful. It was just
So hair's
awful.
growing, yeah.
And I had a crush on this boy.
See?
Incredible.
I remember I was in primary school. He was the year above me, and we were playing some game where we had that, those balls. And I think he tackled me. He threw the ball off me, and like he took the ball. And I remember looking up at him. I thought, one day when I become a woman, I'm going to marry you.
Oh, how beautiful. How beautiful.
I know it's probably unhealthy, but I do still stalk him on Facebook. Just see what he's doing.
We're going to send this episode to him straight.
So we've got our little heartthrob at school. We love that. And we're not wearing any makeup here at school because it probably wasn't allowed.
So is that when you hit rock bottom then at school?
I suppose 15, 16, you hit rock bottom.
Yeah, that's mid-bang in the middle of it.
At that time where I wanted to die, when I hit rock bottom, I had a dream. In the dream, I was getting ready for a party. There were people downstairs. And, I said, oh, we better go down. They're waiting for us. I said, could you put this around my neck? And this guy, he puts the thing around my neck. And then he says, stop. Look in the mirror. Look at yourself. And I looked in the mirror, and it was me as a woman. And I was beautiful. And that necklace was just so iridescent, and just there was this glow around me of light. And, I woke up. I didn't want to wake up, but
I was just thinking you wouldn't want to.
I woke
It's like
up,
Cinderella.
But I just knew I'd be fine after that.
Wow. If that's not universal intervention,
yeah.
I don't know what you call it.
Absolutely, isn't it?
But it was like, I
So that was a turning point for you to
I
acceptance?
stopped praying to God to change me, because I was praying to God all the time. Go, please, God, change me back, please, God, please, God.
Wow.
You know this, please, please. And because as a Christian, you do believe in miracles. You've
true.
taught miracles your whole life. So, but after that dream, I realized God wasn't going to be changing me, that I was going to be changing myself.
Wow.
And I was like 15,
Formative.
16.
Oh, that's just
Formative.
like huge.
I think we should stay on this timeline because I'm
this
enjoying this journey.
Yeah, well, then it was like planning after that. So I was looking in magazines constantly, going, when I transition, I never said transition. That wasn't a word in the day.
No, of course not.
When I become a girl.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, when I become a girl, I'm going to wear things like this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to wear, and when I turned 18, because I had to wait, because I'm such a nerd, I knew that if I ran away any day before my 18th birthday, the police would come and drag me home. So I waited till I turned 18.
Good girl. Smart woman.
And I stole a bunch of clothes from the shed, old clothes,
Love
and ran off to the bright lights of Melbourne, because I was raised in Melbourne.
Oh, okay.
Back in those days, not just trans kids, but gay kids, lesbian kids, everyone had to leave home at 18 if they wanted to live as themselves.
Yes.
So I met a lot of really wonderful people back then, and we all sort of grew up together, homeless orphans.
Yeah, supporting each other. Supporting each
somehow
other.
Finding your own
Yeah.
community there,
Yeah.
which is so important.
So in the end, what I did was, I was told there was a doctor in St Kilda that gave you whatever drug you asked for.
Oh.
So
Ooh la la.
I was like, oh. So I put the tram to St Kilda, and I went and saw this doctor, and I said, oh yes, I'd like estrogen, please. And she said, have you taken estrogen before? I said, oh, yes, of course I have. And she said,
Hi, Mrs. Estrogen. You're talking to Mrs. Estrogen.
oh, yes, of course I have. And she says, oh, what dose? I was like, oh, the strongest. And no one actually, because I didn't go through consultation, and it was
Right.
along the
So she's gone.
grapevine.
So did she give, what level of estrogen did she give you?
I heard that you sort of start at one level and you just keep.
Yeah, build it. Yeah.
Anyway, one day I woke up and I was like,
Oh, isn't that's amazing.
and they were like, and my flatmates were going,
Wow.
what's wrong? I don't know.
But I'm crying.
It's a female thing.
So we ran.
Right, isn't
we
it?
ran
Wow.
to the doctor.
Fred.
We all piled into the car and went to the
Goals.
doctor. And the doctor goes, "What's wrong?" I can't stop crying. And she said,
How many did you take?
And it was like, 1 week you take.
They're only
you
weak. I'll take a few.
one a day for a week, and then you go up 2 a day
Build
for
it.
a week.
Yeah.
She goes, how many a day are you taking? I said, 7.
Besides the crying, what else was emerging for you?
Oh, well, the first day I took my hormones, it was like running through a field of daisies.
Oh,
just like,
stop.
Yeah, like Julie Andrews.
Oh, how's that? Straight away.
Well, after a day or two. Yeah, it was.
That's why it's so
really
important
got
that
me.
you're on here, because so many people
That's
need to be
beautiful.
educated in that, and people don't realise.
Well, like for me, I was just so happy. I was so happy that, finally I could start to, everything that I'd bottled inside me of how I feel, it could finally come out.
Hallelujah.
And I could just express myself as myself.
How freeing.
So, it is freeing. It's very freeing. You become very, there's a innate sense of yourself that's stood me well over all this time. I transitioned 33 years ago now.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So-
and look
so-
at you.
I know, look at you.
Giving
yeah.
back to the community, Nicola.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that
Like
really
when
you're a role model, and also, but the programs that you're doing, can you tell us a little bit about like the awareness and how you're doing it through even like with people with employment and companies? People,
And I love how she goes into business and commercial. I
absolutely,
love that.
yes.
Well, I'm just not really that academic. I'm more creative. And I was at a birthday party down the South Coast, and one of the girls that was there, she's lesbian, she said, Katherine, she goes, do you know, you have taught all of us about trans people, and you've taught us all to, she goes, why don't you make some money from it? She goes,
God,
why don't
go
you
girl,
become
brilliant.
a gender diversity consultant? I was like, oh, I think I'll become a gender diversity.
That sounds good. Let me just write that down.
So I thought, oh, and,
That sounds like
And
me.
I like how you just go, yes, I can do that.
that's
And you,
So I built a website. One day I got an email. It wasn't actually for money though, but my first client, well, it was for money, but not for me. So because I was trying to raise some money for Qtopia Youth Camp. It's,
love the name,
it's youth camp for transgender youth, so that they have somewhere safe.
So they
to
got the money and you
be
didn't.
kids. Yeah, they got the money.
I love it.
From
But it's a
Bloom-
good starting point for you.
from Bloomberg.
Confidence.
So Bloomberg was my very first
Wow,
client.
that's
Isn't that
amazing.
great?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's intriguing.
And then my second client was Royal Bank of Canada. And my
Can I ask a
third,
question? What years are we talking about here? What?
6 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So
okay,
my
so
third
we're out in the
client
open
was
now. Yeah.
Bank of America. And then my fourth client.
Start high, I say. Work
my,
your way down
my
from
fourth
there.
client was Skeggs.
Wow.
really.
So
Isn't it?
the reason why I got such good clients in the beginning was because it turns out I was the first. So I was the first self-employed transgender woman with a trans awareness training program to deliver.
In Australia or the world?
Oh, in Australia. I reckon.
Bravo to that.
Yeah, well done.
Bravo to
Well
that.
done.
That-
So my question to you is, how would you say we position ourselves now in the 21st century in 2023 with awareness and acceptance of transgender issues?
Do you know, most importantly, I think we should all just remember that we are all just human beings trying to make our way in the world, first and foremost, human.
Here.
You know,
The world's changed for the better, though,
Oh,
with awareness.
yeah. Look,
and thank
you know,
God.
it sounds like
that must be
it's-
very freeing for you and
Oh, it's-
everyone else.
Do you know what? It's amazing. I
yeah,
didn't even think I
yeah.
could ever legally marry. I did not
Wow.
think it
Oh,
was
it's a
never
hackle
in
sound.
my.
It's you know what, and when you're
You
sort of
deserve
saying
as much
turn-
as every human being on
Yeah.
this
Oh,
earth.
do you know
Turning
what? If I'd
fear.
known, I might have been nicer to those men.
What about the guy at school,
Yeah, I
you
know.
stork?
Yeah.
So the thing is, we're moving in the right direction with education, awareness, and compassion. You feel that we're really moving in the right direction now,
We really,
which really
are.
inspires me.
Well, you know, it's sort of there's always a kickback, yeah. Like we take a step forward, and then there's a kickback, and
Sure.
we take half a step back.
Sure.
And you know, and it's always the way. We've just finished Sydney World Pride, which was, you know, it was such a huge success across the world,
Wasn't it?
To
Brilliant.
show the rest of the world how lucky we are, because we are genuinely lucky in
yeah,
Australia.
we are.
We are so lucky. I mean,
Yes.
thank
Listen
God.
to her saying that, the life she
Yeah.
endured,
I
the
know, and that's
bullying,
right, 'cause
everything.
once
We're
again-
so lucky here.
living with gratitude.
And positive.
Well, I mean, I've seen some terrible things.
That's
you know,
right,
But,
you have.
But we live in a time where, I mean, I now go and speak at banks where there are trans people working in them.
yes.
It's beyond my imagining. I did not believe that this,
You're seeing it.
Yeah.
that the youth would have, you know, even parents fighting for their kids to be allowed to be trans.
Wow.
You know, and you know,
gotta
I never
admire
thought
that.
I'd see that.
Wow.
Well, we all had
You've
to leave.
seen it all,
We have
haven't
all
you?
had to leave
You've
home when
seen
we were
the full
18, you know,
gamut.
and now the kids are like, no, you're staying here and I'm like,
Wow.
you're not leaving home till you get married.
Incredible.
Catherine,
what joy. What joy.
Catherine,
It's a
are there
joy.
stats sort of on, you know, with numbers? Are
I
there
have
any-
stats for the suicide rate is 30% per capita, which is really high.
Huge. I bet it used to be more.
It did, you know,
is
but
so sad.
there's also a statistic with unemployment. You know, unemployment
Of
is pretty good
course.
in Australia, 4% per capita, but for trans people, it's 50%.
Really?
Oh, gee.
Yeah,
Really?
How's
so
that?
What a journey these guys have gone through.
Yeah.
Support them in every way possible. Truly.
thank you. Yeah,
they
yeah, he-
deserve it as much as any. They're human.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we all just want to be happy, right?
Truly.
I think
Yeah.
that's it cannot affect other people's happiness. Like my personal decisions do not impact anyone around me,
No.
yet people have opposition to it, which
Yeah.
is unfair.
That is unfair. It's no one
And,
else's business
yeah,
really but your
it's
own.
like you don't have a right to be happy, you know, and you're going
'Cause
to
you're not
burn
like
in
me,
hell, and
so you can't be happy.
And it's sort of like, no, you know, like you stay in your lane and just let me.
You're turning the fear around. I think a lot of people who are saying that because they're, you know, there's
Well,
a lack of education.
yeah,
it's not
it's
with
it.
malice.
Starts
but
with
it's
that.
just sort of like, oh, I don't know about
Yeah.
that. I don't want to know about that. And whereas, thank the Lord now, and it's by listening to people such as you, Catherine, and bravo to you for speaking up and making us more aware. And I think a lot of people say from our generation, even older,
Yeah,
don't know
definitely.
so much about it, you know, and it's great that the younger kids do.
Or
and it's
appreciate
just
their
appreciate it.
journeys.
So
Yeah.
we're really just honoured that
Yeah.
you've told your story, and there's a lot more to
Yes,
tell. I'm
absolutely.
sure.
Yeah.
But it's
as
just
you said in the
really-
intro,
yeah.
from fear to understanding.
Fear to understanding and
yeah,
kindness
It says a lot.
above everything, and that's really being
Yeah.
kind. And you are kind.
We admire you so much.
Yeah.
Thank
From
you.
as Nicola just said, we've just heard the tip of the iceberg of your
Well,
journey.
What happened was that, you know, I'm also a Pride Cruise ambassador for P&O, and I said to them, I said, how about I do a show? I'll do the number that I did in Lay Girls,
You're brilliant.
which has never been to me, and then have a photo montage of my life in chronological order.
Oh, that's brilliant.
From a child, you know, in photographs,
Simple,
and then
easy.
just tell the story
great,
of my
actually.
journey, and then finish it with the dance version of Never Been to Me in an hour slot.
Wow.
So I did it on the ship, on their cruises, but more importantly was the reviews were amazing.
Great.
So I've been trying to bring it to land, and I've just been booked with the Fringe Festival.
Good
Oh,
girl.
excellent.
Gosh, you are a constant, aren't
So
you?
the name of the show is She. The Extraordinary Journey of an Ordinary Transgender Woman.
Wow.
Oh, wow. So when's that, Catherine?
Fringe Festival's great.
It's during the Fringe Festival,
Yes.
which is
Yeah.
September.
Yeah.
well,
We're
so,
back.
you know,
We're back.
yeah,
So
we're
So
there.
please look out. But there might be some
Yeah.
listeners that want to know more, and they can come and
Absolutely.
see the show and
It's very
learn more
much-
about my
Look,
journey.
there is a
You've
lot
really-
more awareness than
You've
there
just
ever have
opened our
been.
eyes, I'm sure,
Yeah,
to a lot of things
absolutely.
there that we weren't aware of, and
Totally.
and
Let
I'm
me
sure
tell
for a
you.
lot of listeners.
Yeah.
And it's just just absolutely. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for sharing that. But
Yeah,
we've got
thank
a couple,
you.
we've got a couple of
questions.
little key questions.
Okay, the first one is, if you had the opportunity to say a few words to your 20-year-old self, what would that be?
I thought about this. Do not be too afraid to love.
Oh,
When you face so much discrimination,
Yes.
you're broken. So it's hard to show your love. And I would have loved to have gone back to that 20-year-old child and, just say, darling, don't be scared to love.
Catherine, that's
And maybe, or don't be scared to show your love.
Right, show your love.
Yeah,
I get
so
it.
it's sort of,
Of course.
so it's sort of, yeah. So, yeah, I think that would be, I would definitely go back and say that. Oh, and I'd probably say, darling, it's fine. You're going to be pretty eventually.
So just hang in there.
Hang in there, darling.
Another estrogen.
You're going to be
tablet.
fighting
I
your
love
weight,
it.
but you'll be
You're
pretty.
amazing.
that's really beautiful, and I hope now for younger people that's changed, that they're not afraid to show love. Because it is more accepted there. It's not, it's people are becoming more and more educated.
Do you know what I love about trans youth now is that they're very entitled and very ungrateful and very. And I was sitting there and I was thinking about it. I thought, well, you know what? That's just like every other kid, right? They're all and self-entitled and ungrateful, and they call me out of touch. And I thought, well, that's what we fought for. So these kids could just be normal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right on.
Rather than being
Actually,
grateful
right
for a
on.
crumb
So they can
of
be
kindness.
brats.
Yeah. Your journey.
That's what we fought for. Then
Your
yeah,
journey
the
through your
ungrateful
life
brats.
is very different for the kids today.
that's cool.
Yeah, very.
See, that's really cool. Okay,
Question two.
Yes, if you could share a back fence with anybody on this planet Earth, who would it be and why?
That was one I had a good think about. Does it matter if they're dead?
No.
Oh, God, no.
All right. So the person that I would love to share my back fence with would have been Queen Elizabeth II.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah. Well, hear me out. I mean, the view from the back patio, right? Would be amazing. And also, I'd never get burgled because MI5 would be like always around in the area.
Good one.
Yeah. And SW1 is very good real estate. It's a city of Westminster. Very good
Very
real
true.
estate. So I'd be safe.
Love that. Yeah.
And you know what? She's an old lady. She wouldn't make too much noise, except for the garden parties, and
Pretty tiara.
She sounded.
And the house,
She sounded
and her
like
house
fun.
would be so far away, I wouldn't hear the helicopters arriving there.
I reckon I'd come and visit
You
that
two would
back
get on
fence.
really well.
I reckon so.
Oh yeah.
A trip
Then
to
I
London
can
town.
then off to
Be a
Harrods.
party at my
Done.
house,
know,
and you
love
can all
that.
have a
Good day,
fabulous
good
view.
day out.
Oh,
Tim.
yeah, absolutely.
Well, what a day with
Tea or
you.
a
What
little
an
gin and tonic,
experience. To wrap this up into a little bow today, it's been, I just hope that if, look, for some people are still fearful or don't have an understanding and are judgmental, all we wanted to do today was, number one, introduce Katherine, but number two, just go and Google it. Just read a little bit more about it and you'll appreciate what they've been through to get to where like Katherine is today. It is a difficult journey, but I tell you what, she's a shining star, and thank you so much.
Yeah, you are a shining
for joining
star,
us
and
today.
we really admire the courage that you've gone through and the strength, and how you're helping so many other people.
Yep.
And,
Worth bottling.
You've helped us, and now we're all friends
Yeah,
of us.
truly.
And it's,
You are.
So we're honoured to have you here
Thank
today.
you.
So thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Can I just say something though, Nicola?
Of course.
When I met you on the cruise,
yes.
and the yacht was in the harbour, and then a boat came and picked you up and took you to a wedding.
That's right. Yes.
I thought to myself, you know what? I want to be her. That's a pretty good line. Can we talk about Camilla as
We'd
well?
love to talk
Yeah,
about
Because
yeah.
I'm a part of the Camilla family, and, Camilla's kind of like adopted me as a part of her crew, and I remember, and, on the ship, she said, I design for all genders, all sexualities.
Yes, she did.
All people.
Yep.
She goes, I design for big women, I design for skinny women, I design for everyone, like the inclusion.
Yep.
And I think that she really does put her money where her mouth is.
Very true.
Yes.
With what she
She's
does.
very generous.
Very generous.
Yeah.
It's all from the heart from her.
Yeah, well,
She's a good
it's-
soul,
it's
good
a-
egg, that
it's,
one.
Beautiful, and I'm very grateful.
And we love wearing
to be
the-
a part of the
the
We
Camilla
clothes
always
too.
love wearing the
Yeah.
Camilla, don't we?
Well, you look amazing.
And people know too. They go, "Oh, is that a Camilla?" They're
At
always
your
saying.
launch,
Yeah.
the over the back fence launch,
Yes.
you're both fabulous.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
thank
love it.
you.
We don't want to give it back, but you have to give it back. Thanks
Well,
again
thank you
so
so
much,
much.
Catherine.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you for having me.
Ciao, ciao. Thank you for
Thank
listening,
you.
everybody.
Yeah. Well, guys, we look forward to joining us at the back fence next Monday.
Yes, so tell your friends, rate and review. How many stars do we want, Didi?
25, and even though it only says
I think
4.
I think it says 4 or 5 stars. Because really, I'm just learning, but that's really the only way that community
Spread the
grows and
word.
spread the word.
Yeah,
So share
it's
the
true.
potty to friends, and
That's what it's all about.
thank you for
Share it.
listening.
And look forward to chatting with you on Monday. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao. Bye bye.